All right, well, up to your deep dive. You sent over some audio, sounds like a course, all about attracting women.
Yep, lots of material here.
So let's unpack it all. What did you think of the speecher's techniques? Anything we can learn?
Definitely some interesting stuff. Let's see what we can extract. Where should we start?
Well, he seems to jump right into the where and the how to meet women. Doesn't limit himself either.
Right, not just bars or clubs, but like bookstores and dog parks even.
He even mentioned malls and college campuses. He actually suggests his 50-year-old friend picks up women at college campuses. Not sure I'd go that route, but
Uh-huh, yeah. It's more about challenging those assumptions. Thinking outside the box, you know?
I see, yeah. So more about the mindset than the specific location.
Exactly. And he even talks about approaching with slightly higher energy.
Oh, and the genuine smile. Not a creepy smile, he says.
I liked that distinction.
Me too.
Yeah.
First impressions are key.
Yeah?
Then he gets into this false time limit technique. Pretty clever, I thought.
Yeah, all about perception. Like, you're not asking for a huge commitment of time.
So it feels less threatening.
Right. Like, he uses the example of needing a quick female opinion on something.
Keeps it short and defiant.
Makes her more receptive, maybe. What do you think about his take on canned lines, though? Surprised me a bit.
Me too. You'd think. Dating coach, all about being spontaneous? But no, he's advocating for prepared lines.
It's this whole meta-framing thing.
Meta-framing.
It's basically having those lines frees up your mind for the rest of the interaction.
Like you got the opening act down, now you can improvise the rest.
Exactly. Launch into that pre-planned bit, then see how she responds. Makes sense in a way.
Yeah, actually. But then it gets even more interesting when he gets to reality sucking.
Yes. Gets pretty dramatic.
He's all about creating this hook, right? Like that example, needing help naming a pug and a wiener dog after a famous pop duel.
So yeah. Absurd.
But that's the point.
Trying to get strong reaction, make her laugh, maybe even tap into some empathy.
It's definitely not your average, what's your favorite band? Pickup line. More like a,
Mini soap opera.
yeah, inviting her to play along.
And he's clear, don't memorize it word for word. Use it as inspiration.
Find your own personalized opener.
Right. He even suggested some unexpected sources for inspiration, radio shows, magazine articles.
Even TV show synopses. It's like,
Method acting for dating.
exactly. But storytelling, that's another big piece of this, and not just for entertainment.
Right. He sees it as a tool for attraction.
Shows off your good qualities without bragging.
Demonstrates what he calls prizability. You're not just some guy. You're a character in a story.
And those stories should be light, entertaining, even a bit. Childish, he said.
Playful. Relatable. He even uses this term, girl humor.
Not sure how I feel about that term.
Yeah. But the idea is to keep it lighthearted and milk that connection. He even shared one of his own stories about an albino Gary Coleman impersonator who stole a golf cart and got a DUI.
It was. Out there. But what I noticed, he really emphasized the delivery. Those pauses, the characters, like a performance.
Holding her attention. The build-up, the punchline.
It's not just what you say, but how you say it. So we've covered approaching, these reality-sucking openers, and storytelling. Lot to take in. What stands out to you so far?
I'd say it's not just information. It's an experience he's creating. Those emotions, the curiosity, leaves an impression.
He's definitely not advocating for being passive. Be bold, be playful, take charge. But he doesn't stop there. Things get a little more unconventional.
On to cold reading.
That's where we go next.
Cold reading, yeah. A bit mysterious, right? Psychics, fortune tellers.
That sounds risky. What if you get it wrong?
He knows. He knows. But see, he thinks most women share certain things in common. And even if you're off a bit.
They'll only remember when you're right.
Exactly. Subjective validation, it's called. Like, we believe what we want to believe, you know? He even has this whole list of generalizations about women.
Probably best not to go there. But how do you actually use E's cold reading?
He ties it to what you can see. Her clothes, how she's standing, even how she reacts to things.
Ah, I see. Like reading the clues.
Right. He even has this visualization game, the cube. Imagine a cube in the desert. Then he interprets her answers.
Sounds like a party trick. But does this really build a genuine connection?
Well, he thinks it creates intrigue. Like, you understand her, even if it's a bit manufactured.
Playing on that fascination we all have with ourselves.
Exactly. It's a bit of a mind game, no doubt.
Controversial, for sure. But even if you don't use it, knowing how it works is kind of helpful. Like seeing how the magician does the trick.
Oh, that's a good analogy. It's about awareness. Understanding those dynamics, even if you wouldn't do it yourself.
So approaching, openers, storytelling, now cold reading. What's next in this playbook?
Bragging is up next,
Mm,
but not how you'd think.
yeah, bragging's never good, right?
Especially with women. He knows that. It's all about, what do you call it? Covert disclosing.
Poovert, like secret bragging.
Uh-huh, kinda. Using stories to subtly reveal those good qualities.
So instead of I'm so successful, it's
Yeah.
more like, oh yeah, that business deal I closed.
Exactly. Like he had the story, perverted girls in Prague.
Yeah.
Funny, right. But also, he comes off as well-traveled, comfortable in social situations.
Letting your actions speak louder than words.
Right. Planting those seeds so she comes to the conclusion, you're awesome.
Feels more authentic than boasting.
He thinks so, yeah. But what about guys who don't have a ton of amazing qualities to disclose?
Good point.
He says, everyone's got something to offer. But if you're lacking certain virtues, focus on other things, confidence, humor, that kind of thing.
Play to your strengths. I like that he addresses that. Not everyone's starting at the same level.
Right. But confidence, that's huge for him. He even talks about this assuming rapport technique,
What's that?
acting like you already have that strong connection even if you just met.
So fake it till you make it.
More about shifting your mindset, projecting that ease, you know? He thinks it can actually influence how she sees you and how you see yourself.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
He even says, practice thinking things like, women trust me, women feel comfortable around me. Internalize that confidence.
Interesting. What about finding things in common?
That's important too, of course, but again, less direct. Let it come up naturally.
Sharing your own experiences, seeing if she connects with them.
Like he talks about his pet rabbit. Lots of women love animals, right? So maybe she's got a pet story. Instant connection.
The sneaky.
He admits to eavesdropping a little too, catching bits of conversation, you know, to use later.
Subtle. Keeps things interesting.
It's about being present, paying attention, and then using those details.
Like a detective. Okay, so we've got approaching, storytelling, cold reading, and now this assuming rapport and shared interests. Quite a system he's built.
Definitely a system. And some of it's a little iffy, for sure.
A mix of pickup artistry and self-improvement almost.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Bound to get some strong reactions.
So before we get into the rest of his material, what are your thoughts? Anything stand out to you, good or bad?
For me, it's that focus on the psychology of attraction. Even if you don't agree with it all, it's useful to see what's going on under the surface, you know?
Like decoding those secret signals.
Right. And once you see them, you've got more choice, more control over your own interactions.
So we've gone through a lot of his techniques. I'm telling you, he's given us a lot to think about and not afraid to get into the nitty-gritty of attraction, even if some of it feels a little, I don't know.
Manipulative.
Yeah, a bit. But one thing he keeps bringing up is tension loops. He talks about open loops and something about them loops. What's the deal with those?
The open loop, it's like leaving a thought unfinished or a story incomplete.
Creating that curiosity,
Yeah.
right? Making her want more.
Exactly. He even compared it to like the power going out during a Jerry Springer episode.
Well, I remember those days. You're hooked, even if you don't really care about the show.
Right. You need to know what happens.
Right.
So he's saying, be a little vague, be incomplete, and she'll stay engaged.
He even used the example of someone asking, how are you doing?
Mm.
And instead of, good or whatever, he might just say, bad.
Which obviously prompts more questions, opens the door for a story.
So it's not about being negative. It's about
Creating that opportunity. And there's a psychology thing too, commitment and consistency. The more she's invested in the conversation.
the more interested she becomes.
Exactly. Okay, so then there's the something about them loop.
This is the one that plays on people being,
Self-centered.
well, fascinated by themselves.
Mhm.
It's like you hint that you know something about her.
But you don't say what.
Right. Like, you're totally a daddy's girl. Then change the subject.
Leave her hanging. Creates that mystery.
Works like a charm, I bet, but also kind of manipulative, right?
He knows that, but he argues it can also be playful, flirty, shows you're socially aware.
It's a fine line, for sure. Depends on your intentions. But, throughout all this, he's really big on men being the prize. Why is that so central to his whole thing?
Because he thinks women are drawn to confidence, to men who don't need validation.
Not arrogance,
Yeah.
but self-worth.
Right.
Yeah.
Knowing your own value. He even talked about having a good support system, surrounding yourself with positive people.
It's interesting. It goes beyond just getting the girl. It's about personal growth, too.
Becoming a better man.
A more holistic approach. Well, this has been quite a deep dive. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah,
And a little bit disturbing, honestly. What's your biggest takeaway?
I think. Social interactions are more complex than we realize. Even the manipulative stuff, it shows us the things that are happening under the
The
surface.
hidden rules of the game.
Exactly. And once you know the rules, you can choose how to play.
Great point. Well, thanks for joining me on this wild ride through the world of attraction.
It's been
And to
fun.
you, our listener, we hope this deep dive gave you something to think about, even if you don't agree with it all.
It's all about understanding human behavior, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.